This is what happened to the Bordeaux family when they moved into 657 Boulevard. A white card-shaped envelope. It was addressed in thick, clunky handwriting to, quote-unquote, the new owner.
Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested?
Derek didn't know if someone was watching him at the moment. It would be nice to have some young blood in the neighborhood. At that, Derek froze. Her reaction seemed like it was genuine. The term young blood, though not so common, is still used by some, so this doesn't mean that the couple were the watcher, but it definitely sent alarms in his head. Now, before we move on with the story, let's go over a few questions. Why did the Broadduses decide to move to Westfield? We already know that Maria lived in Westfield. Westfield is only 45 minutes from New York City. It is primarily filled with all well-to-do families. The schooling system is very good, practically no crime other than parking tickets. Overall, it's a very great place to raise your kids. Now, what do we know about the home? 657 Boulevard is one of the best, if not the best home on that block. The house was built in 1905. The previous owners lived there for 23 years, meaning they had bought the home in 1901 or 1902 and sold it in 2014 to the Broadduses. Could it be that one of the buyers that were outbid by the Broadduses want to push them to sell the home? The Woods, the previous owners, said one interested buyer had backed out after a bad medical diagnosis, while another had already found a different home. In an email to Broaddus's, Andrea Woods proposed another theory. Would the mention of the contractor trucks and your children suggest that it was someone in the neighborhood? Now, this is where the story continues. A few days after the first letter, Maria and Derek were invited to a barbecue for them and another new homeowner in the area. They decided to go in order to meet the neighbors and to see if any of them stood out. Derek started to speak with his neighbor John Schmidt, who lived 2 doors down. During the conversation, John brought up the neighbor that lived between them, the Langfords. He described how abnormal they were. Peggy Langford was in her 90s, and several of her adult children, all in their 60s, lived with her. The family was a bit odd, Schmidt said, but harmless. He described one of the younger Langfords, Michael, who didn't work and had a beard, making him a very mysterious-like character. Immediately, Derek thought this may be the guy who was sending the envelopes. The Langford house was right next to the easel on the porch. The family had lived there since the 1960s, when the watcher's father, as the letters had stated, had begun observing 657 Boulevard. Richard Langford, the family patriarch, had died 12 years earlier, and the current watcher claimed to have been on the job for the better part of 2 decades. When the Broadduses told Lugo about the family, he said he already knew, and a week after the first letter had arrived, he brought Michael Langford to police headquarters for an interview. Michael denied knowing anything about the letters, but the Broadduses say that Lugo told them that the narrative of what he said matched things mentioned in the letter. This isn't CSI Westfield, Lugo later told the Broadduses. But there wasn't much hard evidence, and after a few weeks the police chief told the Broadduses that, short of an admission, there wasn't much the department could do. This is someone who threatened my kids, and the police are saying probably nothing's gonna happen. Derek said probably isn't good enough for me. 2 weeks after the letter arrived, Maria stopped by the house to look at the status of the renovations and to select paint colors. When she decided to check the mail, everything was ordinary until she came across the envelope with thick black lettering. She started to feel panic and fear. She quickly got her phone out and called 911.
Welcome again to your new home at 657 Boulevard. The workers have been busy, and I've been watching you unload carfuls of your personal belongings. The dumpster is a nice touch. Have they found what it is in the walls yet? In time they will. I am pleased to know your names now and the name of the young bloods you have brought me. You certainly say their names often. 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all of the secret it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. Will they sleep in the attic, or will you all sleep on the second floor? Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I will know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better. All the windows and doors in 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move through the house. Who am I? I am the watcher and have been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was their time to move on and kindly sold it when I asked them to. I pass by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. And now you are too, Broadus family. And welcome to the product of your greed. Greed is what brought you the past 3 families to 657 Boulevard, and now it has brought you to me. Have a happy moving in day. You know I will be watching.
This concludes the second part in the True Watcher story. Once again, be careful, be safe, be aware.